This is Director Valerie Marshall, and I am calling to order the meeting of the Nijmegen District Library Personnel Committee on April 8th, 2026 at 7:06 p.m. President Becky Keene is absent with prior notice. Treasurer Botello
Present.
and Trustee Schuler.
Present.
Also present is Human Resources Manager Cassandra Henwood. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do not have anyone in the room to make public comment, and I did not receive any public comment in advance. So we will move forward with the one item we have on the agenda, which is to continue to review the proposed new personnel policy manual. We're on the last third of the manual this meeting, and since I sent it to the committee members in advance, we'll proceed the way we have in the past couple of meetings, where if someone has something they'd like to point out, please bring it forward.
I currently don't have anything that needs modifications.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, some of my questions were actually answered the further I got on.
Perfect.
I went on with it. Yeah, it's. I think it's great. Like on page 84, where it's talking about issues with an employee having their email on their phone, and one of the options is if, for some reason we can reset their phone, which will take out their apps and everything. Well, one of my questions was, hey, do employees sign a release on that? And of course, at the end, there's a sign off for that whole policy,
For the
so
whole
that
manual,
answered
yes.
that question. And the next question I had is on page 85. Let's see. Clauses 17 and 18. Let me get to that. There we go. Okay. Page 85. Bear with me getting there. I really appreciate you updating this and sending it to us in email. It's very helpful.
Oh, absolutely. I know it's a very comprehensive document, so.
I actually, that's one of the things that I like about it, that there was a lot of time taken to essentially try to encompass everything as much as possible, everything that happens under the sun for our library here. So thanks to everybody that's involved in putting this together.
Thank you very much. We are in the process of trying to develop this type of documentation for the purpose of everyone just knowing how we do things, what we do. And when I started, for example, our manual, I think, currently has 50 or 60 pages. This now has 90 something. So we've tried to address the questions that have come up in the past 2 years since Cassandra and I and Victoria have been working together.
Yeah. Well, kudos to the whole team.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's an exceptional document.
Okay, so 17 and 18, these statements seem kind of contradictory to me.
Okay.
Employees may use electronic and business equipment that is available to the public during non-working time in accordance with the same rules and policies that apply to patrons. Employees should not be using such equipment during working time for personal purposes.
Yes.
And then 18, occasional personal use of electronic and business equipment is permitted so long as it doesn't interfere with the job. So that, to me, in one statement it says, hey, you can't, and in the other it says, it's okay if it doesn't.
May I?
Please,
So
yeah.
just to kind of clarify that, like, so the language saying that it's equipment that's also accessible to the public. So during the working hours, like if you're using your personal device, that's one thing. And what it's clarifying is like the personal is like every once in a while if you're checking your phone at work, that's fine. But
Sure.
to be on like a patron computer during work hours, that should not be permitted during working hours, you know? But that's the difference between the two, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, so if you happen to be on one of the public computers on the lower level on your break, that's perfectly fine. But if you're in the lower level working on personal stuff on a public computer on work time, that's not acceptable. Whereas number 18, the occasional personal use of your computer, for example, at work. If you need to, for example, print out one page that is personal use that you happen to look up while you're on your work day, like everyone kind of takes moments during their day where they're
Sure.
not 100% focused, right? That is allowable, but you're not downstairs completely away from your desk, not focused on your work. So that's the clarification.
Okay.
Does it make sense? Or do you have any suggested wording to make it more clear?
Well, so 18 then you're saying refers to your personal devices?
Well, it refers to your like desktop computer or
Okay.
the
Personal
printers,
area,
the copiers
yeah.
Okay.
in your office area versus the public area.
Okay. Okay, I mean, that makes sense.
Okay.
I just, it's kind of
If you think of any wording, and we can bring this up because we are going to have it reviewed by the attorney again. So if she has any suggested language, we can talk about that.
I could see where it may create some thought, whether or not it's contradicting. But I'll just say this in my own personal opinion. I think this addresses the reality of a workplace in that it's not a very rigid workplace.
Yeah.
And so it's a realistic expectation that we understand that there may be the occasion, but it's not the practice.
Right.
So that's how I view
Yeah,
it.
and I have no problem with, somebody making copies or, things like that. But it just seems like in 17, and I guess maybe the clarification is that, that it's equipment that's available to the public. I guess that really sets it apart, so.
Right,
That's
and yeah, right, because, I mean, you think about it, if you were the patron, right, and you're coming in and you see a staff member using a computer that potentially should be accessible to
Right.
everybody as a patron, as
Yeah.
opposed to an employee, right?
So if somebody is down in the makerspace and they work down there, it would not be okay for them to do like a video conversion, for them to use one of those machines to, make it digital on their personal time. Are you saying that's?
If they're on break, yes, they can use the equipment just like any other library patron to do a recreational activity. But that process takes like a significant amount of time.
Right.
They could use the business equipment for personal use if it took like 5 minutes, but if it's taking like 20 or 30 minutes, that should be done on your break time.
Okay, all right.
It's one of the more challenging distinctions in a public library specifically, because a lot of
Because we
businesses
have equipment.
don't have equipment that is used by the public.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll
Okay.
think about trying to clarify that language.
It's
Yeah.
just something that popped out at me, so.
Mhm.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I don't have a suggested change, but,
Or if you think about it, you can always email me. Like if
Okay.
any of us think about it, just
Okay.
email me. Yeah.
so on page 94,
Mm-hmm.
I am just curious as to what trade secrets the library would have.
So that's specifically refers to things that we talk about in closed session
Okay,
at the library specifically. So, for example, in closed session by law, we're allowed to talk about the purchase of property, for example.
Right.
And if you don't want that knowledge to be made public, that shouldn't be something that you put
Okay, all right.
into AI or anything like that.
Okay, I get that
Yeah,
completely.
yep.
It sounds like it's like a trade secret for Coca-Cola. or
Yeah,
Pepsi,
yeah.
right? You know, it just-
I wish it was that exciting.
No,
No, I'm just kidding.
most of our information is publicly available by law, but there are things kept confidential,
Yeah.
for reasons. Or like if we knew that we are gonna hire a particular candidate, but we haven't informed other candidates for an open position, that would be another thing that you don't wanna share until you talk to the other candidates. Like it's that type of
Okay.
secret.
Okay.
But yes, the wording sounds a bit, a bit bizarre. We might change it to confidential information.
I like Secret
Yeah.
Service. That maybe we'll just stick with that.
Yeah, it's a element of mystique. Okay, and I do have a suggestion for a change on page 98.
Okay.
Let me get to that point here. 98, okay. Okay. Employees have an absolute obligation to immediately report any unsafe conditions to their supervisor. Not only supervisors, but employees at all levels of the library are expected to correct unsafe conditions as promptly as possible when safe to do so.
Mhm.
I think the whole supervisor thing should just come out, and it should be all employees at all levels of the library are expected to correct unsafe conditions as promptly as possible.
I agree with that.
So, I mean, the first sentence about reporting to the supervisor, yes,
Mhm.
but
And then
not
just,
only supervisors should come out, and
Yeah.
it just should just be all
All
employees at
okay.
all levels.
or just start with the word employees, so employees
That's
at
fine,
all
yeah.
levels, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Okay. That makes sense to me.
and the other, this is just informational.
Mhm.
So in post-accident testing, do we have a specific clinic that we use? Or let's say there is an accident and...
Yes, we do.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
It's
who is it?
Hanover Insurance Company. You're talking about workers' comp?
Right,
Yes,
so
yes,
if
Hanover
somebody has
Insurance.
to be sent out for like a blood test or urine test or something along those, let's say there's an accident, God forbid.
Yes.
We suspect alcohol is
Yes,
involved.
that is our insurance. Yeah, it's Hanover Insurance Company.
Okay,
Yep,
all right,
that's who
okay.
represents us.
Okay. So, and then I had a question that was answered
Okay.
later on about the split specimen. I thought, what is a split specimen? But
I'm
it,
not sure what you mean.
so let's say somebody has an accident.
Okay.
They go and they have a urine test
Mhm.
to see what their blood alcohol
Mhm.
level is. They have got a choice to have that specimen split, and if they want, they can have their sample tested at their own private library at their expense, and it says that in
Yeah.
there.
This
So,
was all prepared by the attorney. so-
Okay, and I got to that split specimen and I thought, I just didn't understand what it was, and then it spelled it out, If it comes back positive from their clinic or Hanover, then the employee has the right to test it at his own expense, and if that comes back negative, then they're okay. So,
Okay.
question answered.
Perfect.
That is all I had.
All right.
And the AI section, I think, is incredible. It's really well thought out, and, about especially putting personal information in there, because that
Yep.
can really go down a wrong road there, so.
We tried to craft the AI policy in such a way that it addresses the biggest liabilities that are possible while still leaving room for the development of procedures as the AI landscape potentially changes. So we had several eyes on this before we put this final version in there. And we've gotten some positive feedback from some of the staff who've looked at it, which is good. So they said it was clear and easy to read, which is the goal of this whole process.
Yeah.
So, thank you. And President Keene said the same thing. She said at her library where she works, they just came out with a very similar AI policy. So, because a lot of the area libraries are working on that right now.
Right. Just out of curiosity, is it common practice across the industry to have this policy reviewed once yearly? Has that been reached at this point or not?
So a lot of libraries are talking about that specifically for the AI policy because AI is so rapidly
Right.
evolving. So that would be a reasonable consideration. Yeah.
Right, that was going to be my suggestion, that we put it at minimum, the 1-year cycle.
That goes for all policies, you know, you really should be auditing them like consistently just to make sure there's updates, you know, so, because there's a lot of even like legal updates that happen, you know, on annual basis.
yeah.
So it's good practice in general.
For the employment manual specifically, every January, there are changes to laws that are relevant to this manual. And if the AI policy is part of that and we can get to the point where we do review this annually and make those minor updates, I do think that would be best practice.
Yes, agreed.
Okay.
That is all I have.
Well, it
Thank you
sounds
both.
like we are in the position to move forward to send this to our attorney for final review. And President Keene asked me to ask the rest of the committee if your preference is, once it goes to the attorney for final review, should we have another final committee meeting, or would you prefer to just present the version that the attorney signs off on to the full board at this point?
Okay, I was going to offer you to respond first. Okay, so I'll respond. Then I'm comfortable with us bringing it to the full board after the attorney review. And, you know, I'm open to hear your suggestions.
I have no problem with that either.
Okay.
I think-
Perfect. And President Keene said she was comfortable either way. So that's how we'll proceed. I will send the final version once reviewed by the attorney to the full board whenever it will be ready. I'm not sure if it will be for the May or the June meeting, but I anticipate one of those two.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
this
very
work
much.
on this.
Yes.
All right. Do I have any other?
No, not for me.
Okay. And then is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting adjourned at 7:24 p.m.